My name's Jaimie. I'm from IPAN. I'd like to thank the organisers and the Korean community and everyone who's here today for this really important rally. I'd also like to echo Michael and others in their acknowledgement of the traditional owners, the Wurundjeri, and I want to point out that this land was stolen. It was never ceded. It always was and always will be Aboriginal land. IPAN is a network of organisations. It's a national organisation and it has state and regional branches, and I'm a member of the Geelong branch. I live down in Geelong. IPAN advocates for Australia to develop an independent foreign policy that promotes peace. We oppose foreign military bases and troops on Australian soil and interventions by foreign governments, corporations and other vested interests that impinge upon our sovereignty. IPAN is a member of No AUKUS Victoria, and we oppose nuclear weapons and nuclear-powered submarines. We're a peace organisation. So why is a peace organisation speaking at this rally? Most people and groups in the peace movement are opposed not only to nuclear weapons, but also to nuclear energy because of the risk of accidents like Fukushima and because of the problem of dealing with radioactive waste. No country in the world has ever found a way to safely store radioactive waste for the hundreds and hundreds of years that it remains poisonous. The peace movement believes peace is a human right, and we advocate for the protection of all human rights. We see the risk that nuclear waste poses to people and the environment as a breach of human rights. Dumping radioactive wastewater into the ocean affects all of us, breaches the human rights of all of us, and we condemn the Japanese government for its action, and we condemn other governments, including those of Korea and Australia, for supporting Japan in this appalling action. Most people and organisations in the peace movement are also very concerned about environmental destruction and climate change. The world's military is the single biggest emitter of carbon emissions. We in the peace movement understand that we will not be able to stop global warming unless we can also stop militarism. We understand that the peace and environment movements need to work together to protect our planet. So we show solidarity with the environment movement by attending and speaking at rallies like this. The peace movement knows that militarism and imperialism are responsible for the development of nuclear weapons. The world is closer to nuclear war now than it has been since the Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962. We must prevent this. Again, that will only happen if the peace and environment movements work together. Now, David's already talked a bit about AUKUS, but I have a couple of things that I would like to add. Nuclear-powered submarines are for attack, not defence, and they generate radioactive waste. We oppose them. AUKUS also means US B-52 bombers and nuclear-powered submarines will be allowed to be stationed in Australia, even though the US has a policy of neither confirming nor denying whether or not its bombers and submarines are carrying nuclear weapons. This is in complete contradiction to Australia's commitment to non-proliferation. Those bombers and subs become a target in the event of war. If they were bombed, highly enriched uranium would be released on impact. AUKUS has also emboldened those who advocate for a nuclear power industry to be developed in Australia. It's completely unnecessary in Australia, which has an abundance of sunshine, wind and hydro. Nuclear power is incredibly expensive, and as we've already mentioned, there's no way to safely store the waste. We reject nuclear power. AUKUS has emboldened those who advocate for Australia to develop and operate an international nuclear waste dump. That is, for Australia to take receipt of nuclear waste from other countries and store it here. We utterly reject this plan. Just going to skip this bit because David said it. We in the peace movement also fear that obtaining nuclear-powered submarines could potentially lead to Australia purchasing or manufacturing nuclear weapons here, thus contributing to the proliferation of nuclear weapons. There is not one good argument for Australia to be part of AUKUS or to obtain nuclear-powered submarines. We demand that the Australian government protest in the strongest terms the Japanese government's dumping of nuclear wastewater into the ocean. We in the peace movement stand with the people of Korea in condemning the Japanese government's breach of our human rights by dumping radioactive wastewater from Fukushima into the ocean. And we hope that you will stand with us in opposing AUKUS and all things nuclear in Australia. Thank you.